If you stay where you are for another 6 months, what will it cost you? Not emotionally, not hypothetically, not in vague terms like stress or motivation. What will it cost you in reality? What will it cost you in leverage, options, time, and future decisions? Most people have never answered that question. Not because it's complicated, but because it's uncomfortable. Instead, they ask a different one. They ask, is it safe to stay a bit longer? That question feels responsible. It sounds rational. It sounds adult. But it hides something important. Because the real question is not whether staying feels safe. It's whether staying is quietly becoming expensive. And that's what this video is about. In the first video on this channel, The Hidden Cost of Not Deciding, we talked about a core idea. That not deciding is still a decision, and that indecision always creates cost. Even if you can't see it yet. In the second video, Should You Ask for More? Or Stay Quiet, we narrowed the focus. We looked at one specific career decision, whether staying silent protects you or slowly erodes your position. This video sits exactly between those two. It's not about quitting, it's not about negotiating. It's about the space before both of those actions. The long, quiet phase where nothing seems to happen. Staying just a bit longer. That phase is where most careers quietly drift off course. Not through disaster, but through delay. Most people don't stay because they genuinely believe staying is the best option. They stay because leaving feels risky. And that's understandable. Staying offers predictable income, familiar routines, known expectations, fewer short-term shocks. From the outside, staying looks reasonable. From the inside, it feels calm. But calm is not the same as neutral. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Staying feels safe precisely because the cost is invisible. No warning light turns on. No one sends you a message saying, "You just lost leverage." No system alerts you that your options are quietly narrowing. Nothing breaks. And because nothing breaks, people assume nothing is lost. Let's talk about what actually accumulates when you stay. Not dramatically, not all at once, but steadily. Leverage. Leverage is rarely taken away from you. It dissolves. The longer you stay without repositioning, your salary becomes standard, your role becomes expected, your presence becomes less negotiable. At first, you still feel optional. Later, you feel replaceable. Not because you became worse, but because time normalized you. Options. Opportunities don't vanish. They decay. Your skills are still relevant, but slightly less unique. Your story still works, but feels less sharp. Your confidence is still there, but quieter. Every month you wait, alternatives become just a little more expensive to choose. Energy. Indecision consumes energy. When you don't decide, part of your attention is always busy. Replaying the same questions, imagining different futures, negotiating with yourself. That constant background load drains more than people admit. Here's why this is so dangerous. Most people expect costs to feel painful, but the most damaging costs don't feel like pain. They feel like comfort. They feel like, at least I know what I have. This could be worse. I'll reassess later. Comfort is persuasive. It convinces you that waiting is neutral. But comfort is not free, it's just billed later, with interest. Time is not neutral. Every additional month you stay does not simply repeat the previous one. It compounds, not in obvious ways, in subtle ones. Each month reduces urgency, lowers sensitivity to dissatisfaction, increases emotional sunk cost. People don't suddenly realize they stayed too long. They realize it gradually, when moving already feels harder than it needed to be. The question is not, is this unbearable right now? The question is this improving my future position or quietly weakening it? If you're listening to this and you're not sure whether staying still makes sense or whether it's quietly costing you more than you think, this is exactly where the Quit and Go decision framework is designed to help. Not to push you out, not to tell you what to do, but to help you evaluate what staying really costs, what leaving would realistically require, and whether waiting is still a rational choice. You'll find the link in the description. Staying a bit longer sounds like a plan, but it usually isn't. A strategy has criteria, thresholds, timelines, consequences. Most people have none of those. They stay without defining how long, under what conditions, and at what cost. That's not strategy, that's drift. And drift is expensive. Here's a question I want you to sit with. If nothing changes in the next 6 months, will staying still make sense? Not if things improve. Not if someone notices you. Not if circumstances magically shift. If nothing changes. That question strips away hope-based thinking, and what remains is usually clarity. Many people think they lack courage. Most of the time they don't. They lack clarity. Courage is acting under risk. Clarity is understanding the structure of that risk. You don't need bravery to decide. You need honesty. This connects directly to what we discussed in the previous video. Whether you ask for more or stay quiet is often a signal of where you stand. If staying longer is already weakening your leverage, staying quiet usually accelerates that process. Small decisions reveal larger dynamics. If you want to understand whether staying longer is still rational, or whether it's simply familiar, the Quit and Go decision framework walks you through that step by step. Calmly, without pressure, without forcing an outcome. It helps you decide before you act. The most dangerous assumption people make is this: I'll know when it's time. It sounds reasonable, it feels intuitive, and it is almost always wrong. Most people don't suddenly know when it's time. They slowly realize it was time, after the cost has already accumulated. They don't wake up with clarity. They wake up with fatigue. Fatigue from having stayed too long, having postponed the same decision repeatedly, having carried uncertainty for months or years. Clarity rarely arrives as a moment. It arrives as a reconstruction. People look back and connect the dots. The shrinking options, the lost leverage, the quiet resentment, the sense that something important was delayed. And only then does the realization appear. I should have decided earlier. The assumption that clarity will announce itself is dangerous because it turns waiting into a strategy. But waiting does not generate clarity. It generates inertia. Clarity is not something you receive. It is something you build deliberately. Without structure, time does not help. It only normalizes whatever situation you are in. That is why people stay longer than they intend, and why decisions feel heavier the longer they are postponed. The moment of knowing almost never arrives on its own. If clarity is not built intentionally, it arrives late and at a higher cost. The topic: deciding versus acting. The hidden costs of staying without a conscious decision contrasts internal decision-making from external action. Research highlights the psychological toll of staying by default, without deliberate choice, rooted in concepts like sunk cost fallacy, status quo bias, and opportunity cost. Key hidden costs include: 1. Lost leverage. Prolonged indecision weakens negotiation power, with studies showing employees who delay career moves lose 15 to 20% salary potential. 2. Eroded confidence. Chronic ambivalence leads to self-doubt, as per a 2019 APA study where indecisive individuals reported 25% lower self-efficacy. 3. Diminished options. Time decay narrows paths, e.g., average job tenure is 4.1 years. But undecided stayers miss peak mobility windows. 4. Mental noise. Rumination consumes 2 to 3 hours daily, equating to over 700 hours yearly. 5. Regret accumulation. Daniel Pink's The Power of Regret identifies bold action regrets as most painful, with 70% of end-of-life regrets tied to inaction. Benefits of conscious decisions. Clarity frees cognitive resources, restores control, and enables frameworks like Quit and Go. The Quit and Go decision framework, inspired by Tim Ferriss's quitting strategies and Derek Sivers' Hell Yeah or No, involves: 1. Audit costs of staying. 2. Decide explicitly: quit, stay, or go prepare. 3. Act within 72 hours to build momentum. Numerical anchors: indecision costs U.S. economy $260 billion annually in lost productivity. 41% of workers plan to quit within a year but stayed due to inertia. Teaser aligns with stability versus safety. What is staying costing you right now? Before you make any move, there's one last confusion we need to clear up. Most people don't stay because they believe it's the best option. They stay because they confuse stability with safety. In the next video, we'll look at why something can feel stable and still quietly work against you, and how that confusion keeps people stuck far longer than they ever planned.